Jack was the only human on the floating station called Valus Prime. It was a place where many alien species lived together, traded goods, and made peace. But humans were still new in the galactic scene. And Jack was a simple engineer. He kept to himself, fixed broken machines, and said please and thank you to everyone. One day, something strange happened. As Jack walked through the busy hallway, he saw a young alien girl with green skin collapse near the food stall. Others around her just stared, or backed away like it wasn't their problem. But Jack rushed to her, helped her sit up, and gave her his water. The girl looked at him with wide, glowing eyes. Her name was Luma, and she belonged to the Varan race known for their elegance and pride. She was weak from hunger and dehydration, but she smiled softly at Jack. He wrapped his jacket around her shoulders and waited until help arrived. From the shadows above, a group of alien males watched everything. They were Varan warriors, tall and strong, with perfect armor and sharp eyes. They didn't understand what just happened. Why did she accept kindness from a stranger, especially a human? Later, in the male gathering hall, the Varan males talked in hushed tones. "He is nothing," one of them growled. "Just a human with soft words and no status." "But she smiled at him," another whispered. "She blushed, did you see that?" Their pride was wounded, and none of them could explain it. More strange things started happening in the days that followed. Alien girls from different species began talking to Jack at the food court. Some asked him questions about Earth. Some just wanted to sit near him. A few even gave him little gifts, handmade bracelets, rare fruit, or energy stones. Jack remained the same, polite and calm. He never bragged, never flirted, and never acted like he deserved attention. But somehow, the more he ignored the spotlight, the brighter it shined on him. Alien males were getting nervous. They began watching him like hawks. They followed him at a distance, listening to how he spoke. They noticed he listened carefully, looked into the girl's eyes, and never interrupted. Even when he was busy, he made time to help those who asked for it. One day, at the learning center, Jack helped a young alien child solve a math puzzle. The mother of the child, a tall and noble female from the Ithari race, gave Jack a gentle nod. That nod meant respect, a sign not given lightly in Ithari culture. More alien males saw it, and the tension grew deeper. Behind closed doors, meetings began. Alien males from 5 different species gathered to discuss the human problem. "He's changing everything," said one. "Our females are acting strange. They talk about feelings now," said another. "They want conversation, not dominance." One bold alien male slammed his fist on the table. "We must act before it spreads," he said, "before they all choose humans over us." But someone else in the corner said quietly, "Maybe we're the ones who need to change." That suggestion caused silence, and then laughter, forced and bitter. Meanwhile, Jack worked in peace. Unaware of the storm building around him, he fixed the cooling unit in the agricultural dome, repaired lights in the school zone. He greeted everyone he passed with a smile, even those who stared coldly back. He had no armor, no weapons, no royal title, but he had something different. One evening, Luma found him again. She thanked him properly with a small gift, an ancient coin of her people. She said, "No one has ever treated me like that before, not even my own kind." Jack simply replied, "You looked like you needed help," and went back to work. The next day, posters appeared on the station's digital walls. A new event was being planned, a cultural exchange festival, and the female committee had chosen Jack to represent human customs. Alien males across the station stared at the screen in shock and confusion. The whispers turned to growls. The jealousy turned to burning questions. How did a human with no power, no fame, and no muscles attract the interest of so many? What was his secret? None of them could explain it, but they all knew one thing for sure: something was changing. And it all started with the jealous eyes of the stars watching one human, who had no idea he was being watched at all. Jack was repairing a panel near the diplomatic hall when his name was called from behind. He turned to see two tall guards in silver robes standing there. "You are requested at the Grand Assembly Hall," one said firmly. Jack wiped his hands and followed. Not knowing this moment would shock the entire station, inside the hall, lights shimmered across crystal walls, and hundreds of alien guests watched from their seats. It was the start of the Festival of Union, where every year one female of noble blood would choose an escort. That escort would not only stand beside her in the ceremony, but also become her companion in learning, growth, and sometimes something more. This year, all bets were on Prince Varak, the strongest Varan male, or Lord Tyrell from the Ithari elite. But when the noble girl stepped forward, gasps filled the air. She was Velia, daughter of the High Matron, known for her sharp mind and unmatched beauty. Her skin shimmered with soft gold tones, and her long blue hair was braided in ribbons of honor. She raised her hand and pointed directly at Jack. A deep silence followed. Even Jack blinked, confused, looking behind to see if someone stood near him. But she walked down the steps and stopped in front of him, smiling gently. "I choose the human," she said calmly, her voice echoing through the chamber. The hall exploded in whispers and gasps. Alien males exchanged shocked glances. This was not part of any prediction. The leaders rose to speak, but tradition could not be broken once a choice was made. Velia took Jack's hand and placed a ceremonial bracelet on his wrist. Locking her choice, Jack leaned in and whispered, "Are you sure?" "I'm just a repair guy," she laughed softly. "That's why I chose you." The ceremony continued. But the atmosphere had changed completely. Some alien males looked at Jack with burning stares. Their pride shattered in one breath. Later that night, news of the decision spread across the station. Screens replayed the moment again and again, showing Velia choosing Jack. Commentators from alien networks tried to explain it, but no one truly could. Searches for what do human males do differently rose by millions across data feeds. The alien males were furious but confused. Vorak punched a steel door in frustration, breaking it in one blow. "She picked a human who builds walls and fixes toilets," he shouted. "She picked a man who treats her like a queen," whispered another, unable to deny it. In secret, many alien males tried to copy Jack's way. They practiced saying, "Thank you," learned how to listen and read about Earth cultures, but their efforts felt stiff, rehearsed, and uncomfortable. Alien females saw through the act and rolled their eyes. Meanwhile, Jack walked beside Velia in the gardens, still unsure how he ended up in this place. "Why me?" he asked again, watching the glowing flowers around them. Velia looked at him carefully and said, "You are the only one who asked if I was tired. All others speak about themselves, their strength, their victories, but never ask how I feel." Jack nodded slowly, still unsure what to say. "You fix machines with care," she continued. "You talk to little ones without pretending to be superior. You do not stare at me like I am a trophy, and when you speak, I feel safe. No one has ever made me feel safe like that." The next day, a group of alien males surrounded Jack near the market. They weren't violent, but their words were cold. "What spell have you cast on our females?" one demanded. Jack sighed and replied, "No spells, just manners," and walked away. Some females nearby clapped softly, amused and impressed. Word of Jack's response spread fast soon. Memes of just manners became popular across alien social nets. The phrase became a quiet rebellion among females who were tired of being treated like objects. And Jack unknowingly became a symbol of something greater. In the next assembly, the Alien Council added a strange new topic to discuss. Should emotional intelligence be taught to males from birth? Some leaders laughed, others frowned, but the idea had entered the public mind, and Velia sat proudly beside Jack as if she had just started a small revolution. Alien males began to fear something deeper. If human behavior continued to spread, what would happen to their ancient ways? Would females stop choosing warriors and leaders? Would soft words win over hard fists? But it was too late now. The galaxy had seen the moment when one of their most powerful daughters chose the quietest voice in the room. And no matter how much they argued or shouted, they couldn't erase that truth. She had chosen a human, and the stars would never forget it. The station had changed. Whispers followed Jack wherever he walked. Not of hate, but of mystery. He wasn't just the human anymore. He was the chosen. The one alien females looked at with soft eyes and hidden smiles. Velya walked beside him often, not like a royal walking with a servant, but like an equal. She listened when he spoke, laughed when he told stories, and smiled at his awkward jokes. Alien females from other clans started to copy her wearing human style. Earrings learning Earth greetings, and alien males? They began to panic in the male-only halls. A new group formed in secret. They called themselves the Observers, and their goal was strange: to learn how to act like Jack. They recorded his movements, watched his conversations, and studied his words. Some even installed cameras near where he worked, hoping to catch his secrets. One brave alien male named Torvax took things further. He shaved his head like Jack, wore simple clothes, and tried to smile without showing his teeth. He stood near alien girls and said hello politely, then waited for their reaction, but they only looked at him with confusion. Then walked away. Another male, Zherk, decided to copy Jack's actions. He helped an elder cross the hall, picked up dropped items, and even repaired a loose door. But he kept glancing around to see who was watching. It felt fake, and everyone could see it. Meanwhile, Jack just kept doing what he always did. He helped a small alien boy find his mother, gave his meal to a hungry trader. He repaired a broken music orb for a lonely dancer and left without asking for anything. He didn't know he was being watched, recorded, and secretly admired. One day, Torvax approached Jack near the recycling station. "Human," he said, standing stiff like a statue. "What is your method?" Jack looked confused. "Method?" Torvax nodded. "To attract females." Jack laughed nervously and wiped grease from his hands. "I don't have a method," he said. "I just try to be kind." Torvax frowned. "Is that a code? Or Earth technique?" "No," Jack said with a shrug. "I just care." Torvax walked away in silence, unsure whether he had been given wisdom or a riddle. Later, in the secret hall, he told the others, "He says there is no method." The room fell silent, and someone whispered, "Then it is worse than we thought." Outside, change was spreading faster than anyone expected. Alien girls painted Earth-style flowers on their skin, listened to human music, and asked for human books. Alien males grew nervous and angry, but deep down, they were scared. Their pride was being cracked, not by war, but by one man with soft words and honest eyes. One alien princess, Mara, told her father during a council dinner, "Father, I don't want to be gifted to some warrior with trophies. I want someone who asks if I'm happy." The room froze, and her father dropped his glass. In another corner of the station, two alien females argued over who would give Jack a handmade necklace. "He listened to my dreams," one said. "That means something." "But he shared his sandwich with me," the other argued. "That's more important." Nearby, a group of males watched with open jaws, stunned that sandwiches and listening were now powerful tools. Some males began to rebel in a strange way. They wrote long poems, practiced polite bowing, and offered to walk alien girls home. But the results were mixed. Some girls giggled, others rolled their eyes. Because copying Jack's actions wasn't enough. It wasn't about the sandwich, the stories, or the jacket. It was about what came from inside: honesty, kindness, and care with no price. The alien males were trying to fake what could not be faked, and the females knew the difference. Jack, still unaware of the chaos around him, fixed a power conduit near the lower deck. There, a small alien girl walked up and gave him a flower made of wire. "For you," she said shyly. "Because my mom says you're the reason Daddy hugs her now." Jack blinked, stunned and touched, and quietly said, "Thank you." Above him, hidden cameras recorded the whole moment. Within hours, the image of Jack accepting the tiny flower went viral. It became a symbol of quiet power, of how one man was changing galaxies without force. And the observers realized something painful. No matter how hard they tried, they could not steal his power. Because his power was not a weapon or a skill, it was simply real. The station's central square had never been this loud. Crowds of aliens filled every level, every balcony, every rooftop. Floating screens lit up the sky, showing one name again and again, the human. And below the flashing lights, 5 alien males stood tall, glowing with pride and fury. They were the best of the best. Champions of their species, muscles like steel. Minds trained in 100 battles, eyes sharp with confidence. And today, they were not here to fight each other. They were here to defeat one quiet human named Jack. It began when a challenge was issued, not by males, but by the females. Whispers turned into shouts, then into demands. If alien males think they are better, let them prove it, said Velia, standing in the great chamber. Let them win the heart of someone who can choose for herself. The council hesitated, but curiosity won over pride. A name was suggested, Jerry, a royal-born female of mixed bloodline, known for her mind, beauty, and independence. She had refused many suitors and was respected by all. She agreed to take part, not for love but to reveal a deeper truth. Rules were simple. Each male would spend 1 hour alone with Jerry. No weapons, no gifts, no status, just words and presence. The goal: connect, impress, or inspire. Without force or trickery. The crowd watched eagerly as the first male entered the private hall. He flexed his arms, spoke of his victories, and showed scars of ancient battles. Jerry listened politely, nodded, and thanked him. But her eyes held no spark. The second brought rare gems, glowing stones from a dying sun. He laid them before her feet and called her his future queen. She smiled and said, "These are beautiful." But again, no spark. The third sang a song of his people. The fourth spoke in poetry. The fifth brought data of planets he could offer as gifts. But Jerry's gaze remained distant, her soul untouched, until the final hour came. Jack's turn. He walked in simply, wearing old boots and a small satchel. He bowed without drama and sat down across from her. "I don't have much," he said with a soft smile. "But I do have time if you'd like to talk." And for the first time that day, Jerry smiled with her eyes. They spoke of Earth's oceans, of families and lonely winters. Jack shared a story of his mother, how she worked 3 jobs but still had time to pack his lunch. He talked about losing his dog as a child and how he planted flowers over the grave. He asked her questions and listened deeply when she answered. There were no performances, no loud declarations, only the silence between two people that slowly filled with understanding. Jerry laughed once softly, like a wind chime, when Jack compared Ithari tea to muddy earth soup. She touched his hand without realizing it, and left it there. When the hour ended, she stood up and faced the crowd. The 5 alien males stood proudly in a line, sure of their strength. But Jerry walked past each one without a word. She stopped in front of Jack, turned to the crowd and said, "I choose him." Gasps filled the air, then silence, then angry murmurs. "How?" One alien male shouted, "He has no rank, no wealth." Jerry raised her voice, calm and strong. "He gave me something none of you could," she said. "He made me feel seen." The words echoed like thunder through the station. On the floating screens, the moment was replayed in every corner of the galaxy. Jack didn't bow, didn't cheer. He just looked at her with warmth, as if to say, "Thank you for choosing me even when I didn't try to be chosen." That night, across dozens of systems, alien females sat their sons down. They said, "Watch this human, not for his strength, but for his heart. Learn from him, or you will be left behind." But not everyone was pleased. In secret chambers, powerful alien males whispered dark plans. "If this keeps spreading," one said, "our era is over." We must stop him before the females rewrite the order of the galaxy. And while they plotted, Jack slept peacefully in his small room, unaware that he had just passed a test that no warrior had ever survived. Not a test of strength, but of truth, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The station no longer felt the same. There was tension in the air. Like static before a storm, Jack had become more than a name. He was a symbol. A quiet challenge to centuries of alien traditions. Everywhere he went, eyes followed. Some were full of curiosity, others full of admiration, but behind many doors. In places where light rarely reached, eyes burned with envy, because not everyone celebrated Jack's rise. A secret group formed deep in the lower levels of Velis Prime. They were not ordinary males. They were heirs, generals, and sons of rulers. They called themselves the Shieldburn, and their goal was simple: remove the human. Not through war, but through shame, lies, and quiet destruction. He is changing the minds of our females, one of them hissed. He is weakening the future of our lineages, said another. He must be exposed as a fraud. The leader growled, or made to disappear. Their plan was not to kill him, but to turn the station against him from within. It started with rumors. Messages planted in chat channels claimed Jack was using forbidden earth chemicals. Others said he was trained in manipulation, using hidden tech to alter emotions. Some even whispered that he was part of a long-term human invasion plan. Jack noticed the stares turning colder. Guards who once nodded now looked away. Even some of the alien children he helped were kept away by nervous parents. And yet, he kept working, kept smiling, and kept fixing broken things with quiet care. Velia heard the whispers too. She stormed into the council chambers, demanding answers. Where is your proof? She asked. Where is your courage? But the council, full of prideful elders, refused to act, so Velia turned to Jerry, and together they gathered the truth. They traced the fake messages to a relay node deep in the maintenance tunnels. There, they found a hidden terminal with the crest of the Shieldburn glowing red. Velia's eyes narrowed, and Jerry whispered, "They've gone too far." With evidence in hand, they went to the High Council and requested a tribunal. Alien law was clear. No one was above judgment. Not even Shieldburn sons. The trial was set for the Grand Dome, where all races could attend. It would be public, and it would be recorded across the stars. On the day of the tribunal, the hall pulsed with tension. Jack sat quietly, unaware of how deeply the conspiracy had grown. Velia stood beside him, dressed in royal robes, unshaken. She raised her voice and laid out the evidence, point by point, data logs, message trails, voice prints, all leading to the same names. The crowd gasped, and the accused tried to deny it. But their lies cracked like dry glass under Velia's steady voice. One of them broke down and confessed, tears mixing with rage. "You don't understand," he cried. "Our females, they never look at us the same anymore. They talk about love, about kindness. They want to be seen, not won. It's because of him," he pointed at Jack. "He made us less." Jack stood slowly and looked around. "I didn't come here to change your world," he said quietly. "I only helped where help was needed. I never asked anyone to like me. I just didn't hide who I was." The chamber fell. Silent, a silence not of weakness but of realization. One by one, heads lowered, eyes softened. Even those who hated Jack couldn't deny the truth of his words. The Shieldburn leaders were stripped of their ranks and banished from the station. It wasn't bloodshed or weapons that brought them down. It was their own pride. Jack became a symbol not just of kindness, but of strength through peace, and the station began to heal in a way no one expected. Later that night, Jack sat on the balcony overlooking the glowing city sky. Velia placed a soft hand on his shoulder and said, "They tried to destroy you with lies, but the truth was stronger." Jack didn't reply, just looked at the stars. They once watched him with jealous eyes, but now, even the stars seemed quieter, almost respectful, and far away, in dark places of the galaxy. Others were beginning to notice him too. After the trial, the station grew quiet, but it wasn't peace. It was the kind of silence that came before a storm. Jack was no longer just a human. He had become something bigger, an idea, a question, a warning. Alien leaders across the galaxy watched the trial recordings in private rooms. Some leaned forward in shock, others leaned back in fear. How did a human win the hearts of noble females without power or rank? One ruler asked, "If others follow his path, our future will shift," another said. One council, high above the gas clouds of Kelzer Prime, declared it openly. "We fear not the human weapons, but the human heart." They called an emergency meeting of allied rulers from 13 systems. They feared that love's simple love could collapse their ancient male-dominant orders. Back on Velis Prime, something different was happening. Alien females from dozens of species requested classes, not on war, but on emotional strength. They wanted to learn earth poetry, human bonding rituals, and family values. They wanted change, and they wanted it fast. Jack began receiving invitations from other worlds, some warm, others suspicious. Some wanted him to speak, others wanted to study him. But he declined most offers and continued working quietly. He had no interest in fame, only in building peace one act at a time. Jerry and Velia, now close friends, proposed something new, a cultural program led by Jack to teach empathy to young alien males. The idea was laughed at first, but slowly, mothers and daughters began to support it. Soon, the station approved the idea, and the first class opened with 50 students. Jack didn't lecture, he told stories. He talked about small things like holding your grandmother's hand, or saying sorry first. He showed them how to listen without trying to win. He taught them that strength wasn't just muscles, it was knowing when not to speak. But the more the program grew, the more the whispers returned, not from Velis, but from other sectors, ruling houses that saw Jack as a threat. In a cold, dark palace on the edge of the Raltic Empire, a general slammed his hand on a table. "If females everywhere follow this human softness, we will lose control of entire generations." One message reached the Velis Council anonymously. It said only this: "Stop the human, or the old ways will stop you." No one claimed responsibility, but the meaning was clear. War was not coming with guns, it was coming with fear. Velia sat with Jack on the balcony as the stars moved slowly above them. She looked troubled, and her voice was soft. "You've started something no one can stop," she said. "Are you ready for that?" Jack sighed and looked out. "I didn't start anything," he said. "They just finally saw a different way." He paused and looked into her eyes. "But I won't run," he added. "If being kind makes them afraid, then they've already lost." Velia reached for his hand, and this time she didn't let go. For the first time, she leaned in and whispered, "Then stay, and let me stand with you." Their fingers touched like stars crossing in the night sky, and somewhere below, young alien students laughed together. As they practiced thank you in Earth languages, a young boy asked Jack the next day, "Can I be like you?" Jack smiled and said, "You already are." But the whispers were no longer whispers. Ships from foreign worlds began to circle the station under the name of observation. Spies mixed among travelers, asking about the human and his influence. The galaxy stood on the edge of change, and not everyone welcomed it. In a private meeting, the Velis Council debated quietly, "Should we protect him?" One asked no, another replied, "We should stand with him. He is not just one man now, he is the reason our daughters speak without fear." As tensions rose beyond the stars, something else bloomed inside the station, not just politics or programs, but love, quiet and growing. Alien couples, once strangers, now held hands like Jack and Velia, and the seed he planted had become a forest. But trees make shadows, and from those shadows, old powers stirred. The next move would not be words, it would be something far more dangerous. The storm never came the way they feared. There was no giant fleet, no bombs, no invasion. But something far more powerful arrived: silence from those who once ruled by fear. And in that silence, something new grew: hope. 10 years later, Velis Prime was no longer just a space station. It had become a symbol, a school, a home. Alien families from all systems traveled here to learn how humans did the impossible. How one man changed a galaxy not by war, but by making others feel seen. Jack never wore a crown, never sat on a throne, but he walked the station's halls every day, still helping, still listening. Now, younger alien males greeted him with respectful bows. Some called him teacher. Others called him the first who cared. Beside him stood Velia, not just as a partner, but as a co-leader in a growing peace council. She helped rewrite laws across 3 star sectors, giving equal voice to alien females. Jerry became an ambassador between broken empires, teaching them how to rebuild trust. Together, they created not just alliances but families. On Earth, stories of Jack spread like wildfire. Young humans who once dreamed of war now dreamed of understanding. Alien children grew up reading Earth books, singing human lullabies. They no longer feared humans, they called them friends. But not all accepted this new path. In quiet corners of the universe, a few voices still whispered, "He made us soft," some said. "He broke tradition," others cried. Yet no one could deny what was real: the joy, the peace, the unity. One day, during the Unity Festival, Jack stood before a crowd of millions. Aliens of every shape and size watched as he took the stage. He looked older now, wiser, with lines on his face from smiling too often. He raised no weapon, only a small glass of Athari juice and a smile. "I never planned any of this," he said, voice calm and kind. "I came here to fix broken machines. But instead, I ended up helping repair something bigger: hearts." The crowd fell silent, then slowly began to cheer as he stepped down. A little alien girl ran up to him and hugged his leg. "My mom says you're the reason my dad learned to hug," she said. Jack knelt, looked her in the eyes, and whispered, "Your mom's the real hero." Tears touched many faces that day, from human and alien alike. Velia kissed Jack on the cheek as the sun-like lights bathed them in gold. "What you built will last long after we're gone," she said. Jack smiled. "It was never just me. It was everyone who chose kindness when pride screamed louder." Later that night, stars blinked gently above Velis Prime. Ships glided peacefully between docking arms. Couples strolled through the gardens, some human, some alien, some both. Laughter echoed softly, the kind of laughter that came from healing. And in the great archives of the galactic records, a new chapter had been written. It did not begin with war, conquest, or kings. It began with a man who offered water to a stranger and changed the future by simply asking, "Are you okay?" Now, alien males tell their sons, strength is not always loud. Sometimes the strongest thing a male can do is listen, and their sons nod quietly, learning what their fathers once feared to understand. This was the future no one expected. Not built on power but on presence, not claimed through victory but through vulnerability, and the galaxy, once divided by pride, was now held together by something far greater: respect.